Welcome to the Alpine Church of Spiritual Living this morning. I'm going to be reading the thought for the week, and then you can join me at the bottom when we get down in that bold area. In this month of June, the theme is Behold Beauty Everywhere, and this week's lesson is entitled Bloom Where You're Planted. I think for many of us, we have this innate urge to look out and beyond our current circumstances in life and yearn for something better, something bigger, something that will bring us more peace, joy, and contentment. This little voice in our head says, I'll be happy when, ... And as we do that, we place our happiness outside the current moment. Why do we put off experiencing the happiness that could be ours right now? The life we are living can only be lived one moment at a time, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. Of course, it is only natural to look ahead, have a vision, have goals, have desires, and look forward to having those things fulfilled. And yet there must be a delicate balance between living in the now and in the future. One of the surest ways to stay focused on the now is by simply opening our eyes and perspective to the beauty that is all around us. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and how true it is. As we focus on beauty, our hearts respond with happiness and peace. Acceptance and gratitude are key elements to living in the here and now. When we place ourselves in that type of mentality, we are then available to seeing possibilities where none existed for us before. Bloom where you're planted means no matter what the situation we find ourselves in, we are open to doing our best. I think about the courage and absolute amazing perspective and fortitude Anne Frank had as she was holed up in the confines of that secret annex for 8 months, or Helen Keller's beautiful view of life through blind eyes and deaf ears. How many of us would respond as they, given those circumstances? Be grateful and open to doing your very best right where you are. Say with me, I am grateful and feel extremely blessed to live this life God has given me. I vow to open my eyes and awareness to the beauty that is in and all around me, so that I may do my best at all times, giving glory to the one whose life I live. So beauty is our theme for the month, and this morning we are going to look at the ways that we can bloom where you're planted. As many of you know, I have a garden, and most of the plants, some of them are in the ground, but many of them I have put in pots or in raised beds to keep the gophers out. And yet, and I've been there 5 years. Last year was the first year that I had a problem with the bunnies and the squirrels getting to my plants. And it was just amazing. I was quite upset about it at the time, I will tell you that. And I'm trusting that they're not going to have that same appetite this year. I've been seeing them scurrying around the yard, so far they haven't started munching on the geraniums. And they even ate the roses. Now, you know, roses have thorns, big thorns. And they would get up there and eat the whole bush, the whole rose. But at this point in time, I'm just going to sit and know that whatever will be, will be. There's nothing I can do to change it. I'm not going to try to do all of the things I tried to do last year to curtail it. So and it's the same kind of thing also with the dog next door. The dog was visiting and went away, moved, and now he's back for a visit. And I just have to know that the dog's going to leave when the dog leaves, and the barking will leave when the dog leaves. So that's the way it is. I'm not going to be. My choice is that I'm not going to be upset about it. I know you told me that I could get this thing that you can buy at the store to keep him from barking. I'm not going to do any of those. I'm just going to let it be. It is enough to know. Just listening to the song that we just heard, it is enough to know that only God is here. It's my choice not to get upset. It also is helping me to read our welcoming prayer every morning, which says, that first sentence, I welcome everything that comes to me today because I know it is for my healing. And what is healing? Healing is returning to wholeness. Healing and wholeness are one and the same. So whatever is coming to me, I am accepting that it is for my wholeness, for me to be able to reflect out the wholeness that I am. And what am I? I am love in expression. That's what I am. Because I can always be at choice to be judgmental as to what I truly am or not. And when I choose to know that I am love, that's what I'm going to express. And that's what all of us are. And so we can't judge another person. I can't judge that dog. That dog is doing the very best he can. I know he's trying to, safeguard and protect. He's doing his job, and that's fine. He is actually a good doorbell, because I do know when people drive up because he's there. As I wrote in the thought for the week, though, acceptance and gratitude, I think, are the key elements in living in the now and in raising our consciousness. Remember, that's what we're here for, is to raise our consciousness so that we can see life from a bigger perspective, from the wholeness that it is, rather than a tiny little ant's perspective or a mouse's perspective. We want to have that perspective of the eagle, of the one that can see the broad picture. And I'm also here to know that I will be able to dig deeper, I will be able to explore and accept more of the infinite self that is within me, that is within all of us. This life, they have said, many people have equated it to being a classroom. And as we read Eileen Cady in Opening Doors Within, she refers to that quite frequently, that you can't take a kindergartner and expect them to know calculus. And so we have this path, this journey that we are flowing and following through and walking through on life, to raise our consciousness from one level to the next to the next. And we aren't the ones who are privy as to what our curriculum will be. It will show up for us in life. Granted, we in New Thought and Science of Mind say your thoughts draw your experiences to you, and that has a lot to do with it. And so we recognize that, and we want to know that I am working with my thoughts to only see the highest and the best, and not focus on what is wrong, the way it should be, the way it shouldn't be. Because it is what it is, honey. And the sooner that we can accept life on its terms, I believe the more peace, the more joy that we will experience, and then that is what draws to us then those higher vibration type of experiences, type of people, relationships to us and with us. I have a best friend, Joanne, and she decided right after high school that she was going to join the Air Force. And so she went into the Air Force and was trained, actually got her whole schooling and became a registered nurse, all right, out of the Air Force. And from there, she came out of the Air Force and continued her schooling and became a neonatal nurse practitioner. She loved babies and didn't have any of her own, but she loved babies, and she was a neonatal nurse practitioner. One of her favorite jobs was being a transport nurse, where she would take the baby from one isolated area and in a helicopter or in a plane and take it to the hospital that was there to be able to provide the services that baby needed. So she was a neonatal nurse practitioner for decades. But there came a time in her life when the 12-hour shifts were just grueling on her spirit and on her body, and she needed to do something else. And so she decided that she recently had moved to Anaheim Hills, and so she thought, I'm going to try something really crazy and different. I'm going to go over to Disneyland and see if they need any help, if I can get employed at Disneyland. And so she did. She got employed at Disneyland, and she was a ticket taker. She would sell tickets to people as they were coming in the doors. And she was only there a few months when she became raised to the position of trainer. So she was training the new people coming in and so forth as to how they were to do the job. And I was sharing all this story with a mutual friend of ours, and Denise, and I was telling Denise how Joanne, oh man, she started kind of at the bottom just selling tickets. Now she is up here in training and so forth. And Denise's response was, well, you know, the cream always rises to the top. And that saying just stuck with me for all these years, because Joanne showed herself that, you know, wherever she was, it didn't matter. She was doing her best, and she rose to the top. Just a little backstory, we met when we were in 4th grade at the Methodist Church in Sunday school. And about in our 20s, we both discovered Unity, the New Thought Unity. And at this point, she's moved to Hesperia and is attending a religious science church. She started volunteering there in many different categories of volunteerism. And now she's the president of their board. So I wanted to leave. I texted her this morning. I said, I'm talking about you this morning on my talk. But I show that as an example of where you can bloom where you're planted. Now, she has been following and studying all of our methods and New Thought teachings for years. And I believe that really helps. I think that what we teach and the offerings that we give for spiritual enlightenment, as it's not just our path, there's many paths. That's what I love about our teaching, is that there's lots of ways to do it. There's not just one right way. And the main thing, though, is to recognize is that whatever we're doing, if we can do it with love, if we can do it by bringing forth the best within us, then that's going to be reflected in the circumstances and in the people that we draw to us. I've always hoped that my life would be like that I could rise to be the cream and rising to the top. I believe that we're here on this earth plane to grow, to elevate our consciousness, to the awareness of the reality of what we truly are, and that is the infinite spirit, that we have been given this life to do with as we wish. It's up to us. It's our choice. We have that choice to look at life and do the best we can at that moment that we're in. You know, as I said earlier, I have a garden. I really try, I really make a very good attempt each week at feeding my roses and my blooming plants with a fertilizer that's meant just for them. And they bloom and they blossom and they grow. And I think that we can relate ourselves to that as well. For us to bloom, for us to blossom, for us to grow, you need to be here or listening to this on YouTube, and reading the Letting Go book that we have in our class, and doing our mindful meditation practices that we've been doing. So that's our fertilizer, so to speak, for our lives, to let us grow, to let us bloom, so that we can be fortified from within. I'm going to ask you to open your eyes today to the beauty around you. We live in Alpine. Oh my goodness. You can't go anywhere without seeing the beautiful trees, the birds, the mountains. All of this we are so blessed. And when we can tweak our vision to see with the eyes of God, with the eyes of love, to everyone and every person and every situation, that's a beautiful dog next door. It's just a matter of selective perspective, selective visioning. And so I ask you today to be aware that we're on this path of raising our consciousness by allowing the love that is implanted in us. It can never go anywhere. It is always with us 100%, 1,000% full force. And we just need to tap into it and not judge ourselves when we don't quite meet our expectations, perhaps. We don't need to judge other people on our standards. And let us be willing to listen to that divine voice within to lead us and guide us. How much more can I serve? That might be the question. Because when I can give from the fullness of my heart, how much I can give, granted, think about all the wonderful things that you have been given in this life. Be grateful, be thankful, be joyful that you have that. And I want to be a good steward of that. I want to take care of it. I was thinking this morning as I wrote down in the notes to be a good custodian. To be a good custodian of the gifts that I have been given. And I was remembering that when I was 5 and I went into the children's hospital, it was brand new when I had polio. And I got there and my granddaddy, Weller, was the custodian at the hospital. So I got to see him for the 6 months I was there. I got to see my granddaddy every day as he was there cleaning the hospital. He had and this was when he was retired. I mean, he was in his 70s. He was a farmer from Kansas, primarily most all of his life. But to be a good custodian of the gifts that we've been given so that we can allow them to be shared, to be given out, to be embellished. And that to me is the core of why we're here on this earth, to elevate our consciousness and our experience of being the divine in action. There is an unlimited fountain within each and every one of us, ready to flow out, ready to give, ready to serve, ready to allow it to just blossom and grow. I ask you to open your eyes today to the beauty within. You are absolutely beautiful, every single one of you, within. And to let that beauty out. Maybe practice a little more smiling today. Feel that loving energy bolstering you up, being grateful for what we have. There was a song that kept coming back to me today. I hope I can do it justice, of one that I grew up with in the Methodist Church. Some of you might recognize it. If you want to join me, you can. For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Lord of all, to thee we praise, this our hymn of grateful praise. For the beauty of each hour of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of ear and eye, for the heart and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. for the joy of human love, brother, sister, parent, child, friends on earth and friends above, for all gentle thoughts and miles. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. Have a beautiful day, my dears. Love you.